In the picture, Jesus and his disciples and a crowd are walking through Jerusalem. And some of the people are looking up at the temple and how it was decorated with beautiful stones and ornaments decorated to God, dedicated to God. And Jesus says to them, "As for the things you're admiring, the time is coming when not even one stone will be left. All will be demolished." The temple was the cornerstone, if you will, the center of Jewish faith. And even as Jesus was predicting its destruction, it was 46 years into its second remodeling or rebuilding. It was a grand symbol of security to the Jews. It was where God and people interacted. It was 4 football fields wide. The football field is 100 yards, so 4 of those would be 400 yards wide. And 500 yards long, 5 football fields long. Made of marble that was so pure that from a distance when the sun hit it, it would shine like a snow-covered mountain. There was one wall that was made of gold, and it was said that when the sun struck that wall, it was blindingly brilliant. It was filled with treasures from all around the known world. This was the center of Jewish security. And Jesus said, it's all going to be destroyed. That was not only baffling, it was almost downright blasphemous. Fast forward a couple thousand years to last Wednesday morning. Many Americans woke up jubilant. Others woke up despondent. The unexpected and to them inexplicable victory of Donald Trump left them pondering the words of Henry Kissinger, who said, "More than any time in history, we face a crossroads, one path leading to despair and the other to utter hopelessness." The election immediately brought chaos to the financial markets. It has both our allies and our enemies wondering about what their future relationship is going to be with our country. Some ask, are we returning to the 1950s America of racism, prejudice, oppression, and even McCarthyist red baiting? There's an explosion of search traffic on the internet for things like emigration, how to emigrate to Canada. And others worldwide began Googling the phrase, "end of the world." There's some unsure who are stocking up on food, gold, guns, generators, and ammunition. And others are already taking to the streets. "Teacher," they asked, "when are these things going to happen? What sign will show us that these things are about to happen?" And many of us ask the same question. Is this what's going on now? Jesus doesn't give them a direct answer. He doesn't give them the answer like, well, it'll be 2 weeks from the second Thursday of March in 2019 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. When would be nice to know that? Or maybe not. He simply says, we are to be faithful. In fact, in one place he even says, I don't know. Only the Father knows. And yet there are still those who claim to know when the end will come. Latest prediction I've heard, if you're ready, are you ready for this? Be ready. August 21st, 2017. That's when an eclipse, a full eclipse of the sun will start on the east coast of the United States and come all the way across the country. Something hadn't happened in about 100 years. Conspiracy theorists and end-of-the-earth theorists point to some passages in Revelation and Daniel to prove their point. Watch out that you're not deceived, cautions Jesus. Many will come in my name saying, I'm the one, this is the time. Don't follow them. The politicians, whoever they are, I can assure you, are not our salvation. They can't, whoever the president is, or Congress controls the House of Representatives or the Senate, they cannot and do not control what God is going to do. When you hear of wars and rebellions, Jesus continues, don't be alarmed. These things must happen first, but the end won't come right away. And he says to them, nations and kingdoms will fight against each other. There will be earthquakes and wide-scale food shortages and epidemics and terrifying sights and great signs in the sky. The things Jesus prophesied were then, as they are now, pretty much the norm, the way things are. Disease and hunger were almost universal in Jesus' time. Rome and somebody else were always fighting, and Roman armies were always tramping through Israel from the Holy Land from one end to the next to go fight somebody. But the Lord says, as bad as things are, it's not the end. Now, the editors of the Wesleyan Study Bible seem to think that the wars and rebellions that Jesus talks about were culminated in 77 AD when the temple was totally and completely destroyed. But others say, no, we can't tie those prophecies to any particular event in the first or any subsequent centuries. Whatever century Jesus is talking about, the important thing is for us to be faithful, especially when we face uncertain times, especially when we feel disenfranchised, when we feel that no one knows us, knows or cares about us, that what we think and feel doesn't matter. However we voted, and I'm sure that we didn't all vote the same way, we are still in Christ. We are still called to reflect that in how we treat and respond to others. Whether you think this election was the best thing to happen to America in the last 200 years, or, well, it's the beginning of the end, or the end of the end. We're all in this together. This is a time for reconciliation, a time for prayer. The times are changing. To you, the future may look bleak, or it may look bright. But there's no cause for alarm. We don't know what the future holds. We can't know what the future holds. But we can, and we do know who holds the future, and that's what's important. You don't need to live in fear, because the future we know is a future of promise and hope and joy. The future that was described by Isaiah. And you just heard that read to us. The Lord says, I'm making a new earth and a new heavens. The events